Could have been removed. But I remember him being here for, he wasn't here when we did the program.
I might upon you, are you Shalom, since we choose. Blessed the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh. Bashim Yahushai. Asherah. Latananawa. Ashabaf. Bashalom. The water. Amen. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives to us a Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. And so the Aliyam Ma'a Asherayim Akkad, Psalm 121. Anya, Rayam, Ayanimya, O, Hayam, Mayan, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Mayahawa, Shaisha, Shemayam, Rataza, La'a, Yanathan, Lamawat, Wagalia, Yala'a, Yanawam, Shashumaka, Ana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yishan, Shashuma, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shemaya, Yahweh, Dazalia, Ayod, Yad, Yad, Yawamam, Ashamash, Ra'a, Akaya, Wayrat, Ra'a, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashemaya, Mako, Rai, Yashema, Nabasha, Yahweh, Yashema, Aulakia, Wawaya, Maitha, Wa'ai, Waiwulam, Basham, Yahausha, the water, Aman.
Psalms 121, the Song of Degrees. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shema Yashurala, hear, O Israel. Shema, Yashurala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Shema, Yashurala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Shema, Yashurala, Yahweh, Allah Hainawa, Yahweh, Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. Amen.
Yahweh Tapala, Yahweh's prayer. Abionawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawa, Malakovka, Taba'a, Batazawanka, Haya, Haisha, Barataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Latananawa, Lakam, Yawam, Za, Wasalaknawa, Kawafnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kawafyanawa, Wala'a, Abionawa, O, Nasai 1, Abo, Awashainawa, Morai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Wataparat, Baiwulam, Amun.
Matthew 6 and 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ashura Matazawaf, the Ten Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayim, Alkayim, Alpanya, La'a, Taisha, Laka, Puso, Wala'a, Taibadam, La'a, Talakwaka, Shamwa, Yahawa, Lahaika, Lashua, Zakar, Hayuwam, Ashabaf, Lakudashwa, Kabat, Abiyaka, Wa'amaka, La'a, Watazak, La'a, Tana'ap, La'a, Taganab, La'a, Taina, Shukur, La'a, Takamat, Ko, Ashurat, La'aika, Aman.
Exodus 20 and 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land, which the Lord thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Amen. Yeshua, please be seated. Rakta Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ashura, Natananawa, Parya Gapan, Tuara Aman, La Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Af Yashal. English translation: Blessed are ye, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. Give us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, with Israel. I marvel upon you, I wash them, stand face to face. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Agado,
Agado,
Rakarum,
Rakarum,
Abiyah,
Abiyah,
Wanawa'a,
Wana'a,
Aliwan,
Aliyawan,
Malak,
Malak,
Sho,
Sho,
Shamayim,
Shemaiah,
Barataza,
Baratazah,
Wako,
Wako,
Lubayim,
Gabayim,
Kayayum,
Kayayim,
Wagum,
Wagam,
Hamashiach,
Hamashiach,
Mayahawa,
Mayahawa,
Adawannawa,
Adawannawa,
Ahabnawa,
Ahabnawa,
Hapala,
Hapala,
Yawaitaza,
Yawaitazah,
Yahushai,
Yahushua,
Zakarnawa,
Zakarnawa,
Yahawa,
Yahweh,
Batazawan,
Baratazawan,
Aimka,
Ainka,
Yasha Allah,
Yasha Allah,
Aizornawa,
Izanawa,
Bana,
Bana,
Wasap,
Wasa,
Yasha Allah,
Yasha Allah,
O,
O,
Nawa,
Nawa,
Yamyan,
Yum Yun,
Aita,
Aita,
Kaiwamyam,
Kayuwamim,
Makudam,
Makudam,
Abakushai,
Abakusha,
Shalat,
Shala,
Maika Allah,
Micah Allah,
Batazawadat,
Watazwadat,
Alahayim,
Alahayim,
La,
La,
Magannawa,
Maganawa,
Wapannawa,
Rapanawa,
Washamor,
Vashamar,
Alnawa,
Alnawa,
Baikor,
Baikor,
Shalat,
Shalak,
Awoka,
Aroka,
Shal,
Shal,
Yahushai,
Yahusha,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Lalamudnawa,
Almanawa,
Rabium,
Rabi,
Kakama,
Kakama,
Tabawana,
Tabawana,
with a Aif,
with a I,
Shal,
Shal,
the Barker,
the Barka,
Hashem,
Hashem,
Yahushai,
Yahusha,
the Water,
the Water,
Tamyad,
Kamyad,
Haiwulam,
Wa'ilam,
Amun.
Amen.
English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high, power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and God of Israel. Most high, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers and angels to watch over, to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. And mainly, send the Spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, always and forever. So be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gave to us the law. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Hashem Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahushua,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Atananawa,
Tananawa,
Athorat.
Athorat.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the light to see. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Hashem Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahushua,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Tananawa,
Tananawa,
Awar,
Awar,
Laorat.
Larawat.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram song to call the people. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Hashem Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahushua,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Tananawa,
Tananawa,
Quran,
Koran,
Ayah,
Ayah,
Lakara,
Lakara,
A'ain.
A'an.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Hashem Yahweh Shai,
Hashem Yahushua,
Asherah,
Asherah,
Tananawa,
Tananawa,
Hashemun,
Hasheman,
Zayak,
Zayah,
Lamashak,
Lamashak,
Yasha Allah.
Yasha Allah.
Yeshua, please be seated. All right, Shalom, Yasharala. Shalom, those listening on the conference line. Shalom, those watching on the live stream. Welcome to Hayashwala Kanas, which stands for the Congregation of Israel, where we teach the so-called Negroes and Hispanics, those whose forefathers were brought here on cargo slave ships, and those who came here during the transatlantic slave trades, and those who came to this land where no men dwell. They are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. According to Deuteronomy 28th chapter, when you go through it with a very careful reading, you'll find out everything that happened to us in slavery in this chapter. All right, so we gonna go into the Apocrypha today, reading the book of Tobit, chapter 9 and chapter 10. Give me 1 second while I pull up the some information here. Okay, here you go. All right, shalom to everybody on the chat who always make it an obligation to be here on the Sabbath day, as it is prescribed in Deuteronomy that we just read. All flesh shall come to worship before the Most High on the Sabbath day. So, as it is today, the Lord's Sabbath day, we come to honor the Most High. We're gonna be reading the scriptures and give the sense. Give me 1 second here.
Keep going up. Keep going up. Yeah, search over. Keep going down, go down, go down, go down, go down. Yeah, this thing, that.
This one,
The one above.
I wrote it.
Oh, you already did it?
Yeah, I already
Oh.
did it.
Oh.
Somewhere down here.
There it is.
Here you go, right here.
No, right below.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
All right.
Truth, it is a ticker.
Take
I got it.
You got it? All right. All right. So as we're getting close to the end of the book of Tobit, it's important that we do a brief recap on the reading that we did earlier. So I'll summarize it. So far, if you not familiar with Tobit, or if it's the first time you go into the chapter as a newcomer, Tobit was or is an Israelite from the tribe of Naphtali. And he was the 6 sons of Jacob, right? And with Bilhah, she was Rachel handmaid. And he's from the northern tribe. If you can remember, when the tribe split, you had the northern tribe and you have the southern tribe under Rehoboam, right? And as the northern tribe, we had issues between us. They started to make idols or golden calf so that the people would not go in Jerusalem to worship the Most High, as it is stated, in the law. So Tobit, even though the majority of people weren't keeping the law, Tobit made it an obligation for him, regardless the condition that he was in, right, for the people for him to keep the law. So he did it with his family. And it was around the time Salmanasseh came and conquered the northern tribe, and he was exiled to Nineveh. So as he was in exile, because of his skill and talent, he had a position in the king's court. So he had a nice job. So he was getting paid handsomely. So as he was getting paid handsomely, he put his money away through one of his kinsmen, right, who was his treasurer. So what was he doing in Nineveh? As he was keeping his custom, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, even as he was working in the king's court, one of the deed that he was doing was alms giving. For example, every time an Israelite died, he made it his duty to go and bury that Israelite man or women. So words go out, they snitch on him, and to the king, even people that the king kills, he made it a duty to bury those people. So they snitch on him. As they snitch on him, now the king sought out to kill him, so he was on a run. So as he was on the run, he left Nineveh, and they seized all his assets, all the property that he had accumulated there. Right? They got taken from him. So he was left with his wife and son. All his property were taken. It's to show you, even though he was keeping the law, he did the things that he was supposed to do, which is keeping the law. Still, he was being persecuted. It shows you that we are getting punished as a nation, even though you're keeping the law. That doesn't exempt you from going to the same act committed to our people. So we all go into the same struggle, regardless if you keep the law or not keeping the law, because the laws of the Most High, when he go out of his mouth, it must be fulfilled. So he said that we would be going into captivity, right? But yet, even though he kept the law, he kept going through issues, still he kept the law regardless. Then his nephew, after Shalmaneser was killed by his son, and we had what was that king that came in after Shalmaneser? It was Sennacherib, right? Sennacherib came and took over, and they gave his nephew a job in King's Court. Then his situation of being on the run, now he was able, right, to come back to Nineveh afterward. So I'm just giving you a brief synopsis of everything we read from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 9 to get to this chapter that we're about to read today, so you can get up to speed. So he was an Israelite man, 6 sons of Jacob from, with Bilhah, with Rachel, Hensmaid. So as he was going through everything that he was going through, he kept the faith, even in the lands of our enemies. So it behooves us today, even though we're in captivity, right? We have to keep the law as we are doing today. We're keeping the Sabbath day holy, right? Even in enemy's territory. We're not in Israel, but wherever we go, we must keep the law, statutes, and commandments outside of the sacrificial law that we don't keep. All right. So with that being said, we have now, as he was going, buried the Israelites who died. It comes to pass, as he was keeping one of the feasts, and he had so much food around, because he was a man who cares about the nation, not about himself. He had a great feast. And while he had the feast, he told his son to invite the poor people that were around of our nation. And as he was about to sit down and eat, he got the news that one of our people got killed again and was in the street. So he left, as it was custom of him. He went and buried that Israelite man. So after he was done, he was taking a rest, and the bird poop got on his eyes, and he became blind. So he imagined somebody who's always running about, you being able to fend for himself. Now you blind. So he was totally reliant on his wife, right, to take care of him, and he could not work because he blind, right? So now his wife went out and worked, and while his wife worked, because of her good work ethic, she was blessed with a goat. And then he came home with the goat, and him and Tobit got into an argument. So because Tobit was convinced that she stole the goat. but really she was rewarded for her good work. So as they were going through that situation, they had a heated argument, and his wife went and told him, for all the good thing, all the good deed that you do, look yourself in the mirror and see what is all worth. And those words cut through his heart, and he was very upset. And at that point, he didn't see any reason to live. Imagine you prominent, you in your prime, and all of a sudden, misfortune come and you blind, and now you become reliant and on other people. So they had that heated argument, and he prayed to the Most High that the Most High will take away his life. So to as he was getting prepared to die, he called his son, was Tobias, and he's telling Tobias how to conduct his life after he's dead. He gave him all the instructions about the law, and also at the end, he told him that he had some money that he had laid aside, so to find somebody to go get the money in media, right, so that he can live on, because he already asked the Most High to take over his life, so he was getting ready to, in his mind, he's getting ready to give up the ghost, right? So then, as we move on to the story, we have uh, uh, um, uh, Tobias went and found out somebody to work. By the Most High's will, he sent Raphael, who at the time they didn't know it was Raphael. But Raphael had to tell him that he's one of his a kinsman, a distant cousin named Isaiah, right? So automatically, once Tobit heard that, he hired him on the spot, right? Because he was about his people. So now as they set out for Tobias to go on his journey, right? As they were on the road, uh, Raphael, the angel, instruct um, Tobias, right, as they were having the conversation. But of course, Raphael knew everything, and he told Tobias, as Tobias was bathing or washing himself in the river, right, to lay hold on a fish that came to bite him. And then he told him to take the liver of the fish, take the gall, and take the heart of the fish, right? And that he was going to use as a way to chase the demon that was, chasing the woman that he's going to meet in media, right? And apparently, as the Mosai has it, you had Tobit on one hand going to situation as a righteous man, and you had the girl on the on another side of town, right, having issues herself and praying to the Most High both at the same time. So it shows you the Most High controls everybody and everything, and also it shows you that, right, when you righteous, the Most High will be, will come to your rescue no matter what, regardless of where you may be. Like two people apparently having situations, they righteous, and the Most High come, to answer their prayer. So that's where we are now, and in chapter 9, right? So let me see chapter 9. All right, so now we getting the instruction that Tobit is giving Raphael to embark on the journey. Tobit chapter 9 and verse 1. Then Tobias called Raphael and said unto him, Brother Isaiah, take with thee a servant and 2 camels, and go to Rages in Media, to Gabael, and bring me the money, and bring him to the wedding. For Raguel hath sworn
that I shall not depart. But my father counted the days, and now keep in mind, after the situation happened where Tobias was saved and the demon was chased by the smell of the what they burned from the fish, now they have a wedding ceremony, or what we call today as um, uh, what they call that when they have that ceremony.
Like a reception.
Not a reception. After the reception, honeymoon.
Honeymoon, yeah.
Right, they have honeymoon party. They have a honeymoon feast, and they had a honeymoon feast for 14 days. And keep in mind, in those days, contrary to what we have today, we didn't have like you send a text message, yo, where you at? You know, are you coming through? Right? How far are you? We didn't have that in those days, right? We didn't have emails to send email out to communicate. So it's either when you go out, right? When we go out, it's either they wait for you to come in and you tell them I may come back in 2 days, and that was the only choice that you have. And unless somebody would send another messenger travel to one place, just like they travel from Nineveh to go to Media. So at that time, you can imagine the level of worrying that Tobit and his wife Anna is having. So 15 days now, every day is being counted by Tobit. But Raguel wanted him to stay longer, and he told them that he would not be able to stay longer. And they sent Raphael to get the money because Tobias was too busy, having a partying and rejoicing and having fun for a miracle that the Most High had done for them. In verse 3, for Raguel have sworn that I shall not depart, but my father cometh. My father counteth the days, and if I tarry long, he will be very sorry. So Raphael went out and lodged with Gabiah and gave him the handwritten, who brought forth bags which were sealed, which was sealed up, and gave them to him. All right. Verse 6. And early in the morning, they went forth both together and came to the wedding, and Tobias blessed his wife. So keep in mind, not only Gabiah gave him the money, Gabiah took the opportunity to also participate in the feast that was happening. So he came and have a good time with them as well. So now, continue on in chapter 10. Now Tobit, his father, counted every day, and when the days of the journey were expired, so every day they count how many days it will take them, to go there and come back, right? And it says, then Tobit said, are they detained, or is Gabiah dead? And there is no man to give him the money. So I imagine the worst. So it's either, he's questioning whether they dead or has it been taken? Has it been taken in? Or is Gabiah dead and they don't have the money? Therefore, he was very sorry. At this point, worry sets in, and they were ready to deal with the worst, him and his wife. Then his wife said unto him, my son is dead, seeing he stayed long and she began to bewail him and said, Now I care for nothing, my son, since I have let thee go, the light of mine eyes. So now, remember, he was taking care of them both because now they got to old age. So he was looking after them. And for Tobit, he was actually the one that, guide him wherever he needed to go because he was blind at that time. So Tobit, in verse 5 again, it says, Now I care for nothing, my son, since I have let thee go, the light of mine eyes. To whom Tobit said, Hold thy peace, take no care, for he is safe. Right? So you imagine when you read in Job and Tobit, you can see a slight difference between Tobit and Job, because Job would pretty much question the Most High, where Most High would have a conversation with him and say, Yo, where were you when this, that, and the third? Tobit kind of like, I'm in agreement with everything the Most High did, except, if the Most High would take my life right now, since it means nothing to me at this point, go. But as far as him being righteous, he didn't say, you know what, I've been doing all these things and I'm right. I try to walk a righteous life. Look what's happening to me. With him, he understood if he's not being punished for his own sin, he knows that he knows that for the sin of the whole nation, he don't mind, because the Most High punished as a nation. So he was ready to cope with it, right? So he encouraged his wife to say, it is what it is. Take no care right now. If he's dead, he's dead. What are we gonna do about it, right? So now in verse 7, she said, Hold thy peace and deceive me not. My son is dead. So he's trying to appease her frustration and worrying and sadness. She replied, Listen, I don't want to hear this. I don't want, as a matter of fact, I can understand everything that's going through her head based on what she said before. Right? You send him now, what is money? Right? In previous chapters. Right? You can't be too greedy about money. So right now she's sad, and she's also having, things going into her mind. Right? It says, and she went out every day into the way which they went. So you imagine, even though she said he's dead, still she's in disbelief. She don't want to accept the fact that she's dead. So she's going through it, right? Even though every day she's trying to look out. Hopefully, maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's coming, right? So the situation was very, very, very hard on her, right? You have
Yeah, because both of them were concerned.
right.
He didn't go as far as she did.
Right.
He was like, maybe he got held up, he got detained, something happened. It's
Right.
like, you have somebody going on a long journey, the car broke down, or they ran out of money, something must have happened.
Right.
Or the person who he was supposed to get the money from,
He's dead.
He's dead. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen him. I don't know what's going on. So now they can't get the money, trying to figure things out. So he's just thinking that he's held up, whereas she's thinking, nah, man, the worst has happened. Right. So he's trying to calm her down, not to think the worst, right, but just to say, nah, he's good. Don't worry about it. I'm going to read this in Ecclesiasticus chapter 7.
Okay.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 7 and verse 27. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 7 and 27, it says, Honor thy father with thy whole heart, and forget not the sorrows of thy mother, right? Because the mother is the nurturer, right? She's the one that's caring extensively. The woman has more of an emotional bond or tear to their children. The father, not to say that the father doesn't, but the woman has that side to her that's going to be more on that, to that level.
Right.
So now as she's thinking about her son, she's like, look, he's dead, man. In her mind, she's thinking he's dead. I don't care for nothing no more. Everything, he was my all. That's it. I don't care for nothing. The light of my life is gone.
Right.
That's that kind of that emotional, perspective that a woman has or a mother has for her son. He's trying to make it appeasing, like, nah, I don't think that way. He's gonna be good, right? And that's just the dynamic that you have with fathers and mothers. So you gotta, as a child, now when you grow up and you become a parent, you kind of understand that dynamic where you care for your kids in the same manner. Mothers do the same thing.
Right.
Not that you would do it above the Most High, like you would choose your children over the Most High, but still you love your children, right? You still have an attachment. That's what she has. And because he's taking longer than normal, it's like something bad happened.
Right.
Damn. Right. And in her mind, she can't hear what he's saying.
Right.
It's like, this is what it is.
It's kind of like hope for the best, expect the worst. Right. That's pretty much what she's in right now. Even though she said that, she doesn't have a confirmation. That's why she kept going out. She kept looking to see, if any sign of where he's coming from. Right.
I mean, Most High controls everything, right? You never know. It might be the Most High's will that would have happened. So even though, Tobit's saying that, we don't have power over the Most High, that certain things. You can have faith that, hey, they'll be back until you get confirmation. But she's siding on this one that, listen, he's not coming back.
Right.
And trying to make peace with herself.
Kind. So in verse 8, right?
7. You didn't read all of it.
Verse 7. I read that up top again. It says, but she said, hold thy peace and deceive me not. My son is dead. And she went out every day into the way which they went, and did eat no meat on the daytime, and cease not whole nights to bewail her son Tobias. So she didn't eat anything in the daytime, and at nighttime she keep weeping. She wept the whole night, because every time she goes and see nothing, then the sorrows start to set in even deeper. Right? She goes out in the hope that she may find him, but every time she goes to no avail, she kept going through it. In continue verse 7, until the 14th day of the wedding were expired. In the meantime, while she's going through it, Tobit is going through it, Tobias over there partying. Right? Partying, still concerned about his parents, but he made a deal and knowing that everything is fine, and they'll be all right. Right? They'll be all right. So he kept he kept the days, because you're taking away my daughter. It's gonna be a while before I seen her again. So 15 days, and plus to honor, give respect to the Most High for what he did. 15 days is nothing. But all in all, it's time. So everybody gotta chill out, and and we know when the reality sets in, people, when they going through the situation they going through, is our time is like one day seems like 1,000 years, right?
Man, I gotta look into a carrier pigeon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a carrier pigeon or something? We had to do it, phone invasion, what they say. Just something to say, get the message. Oh, he's at the wedding with Greg Will. Oh, Rocket how my son, something.
Right. So it's just like it's like a time for everything, right? It's like today it's like it seems easy. Just pick up the phone, send a text message. Are you good? All right, cool. Yeah, I got the girl. Oh, you got from your kids, man. Oh man, you would have been enjoying the party afar, and be excited to see the bride, the wedding, but come home. But today it's just it's easy, but back then it's just a matter of days.
You know what you think of too, even though it's not the same, but just as far as the communication piece, like when 9/11 happened, and like all the phone lines were pretty much like maxed out. People trying to reach out to see if their loved ones were okay.
Right.
That were, you know, around ground zero at that time. And since the technology failed, you know, it was like up in the air for a lot of folks, not being able to know or find out, oh my God, it's my loved one, it's my friend, it's my whoever that worked in the towers or around the towers, are they okay?
Right.
You know, so you see kind of people going through similar situation, and then without that lack of knowledge, you know, fear of the unknown, now your mind can wander, consider all types of stuff. All the worst happens to them. In some cases, their suspicions were correct, other times not. But until you find out, you know, your heart is just
Right.
is in turmoil. You just don't really want to know, okay, are they okay?
Right. And it has to do with patience, faith, right? That's pretty much all you have now. Now you're forced to rely on the Most High, right? And other people, they will rely on, you know, other false gods, right? Because we are, you know, creatures of interpretation, right? If we don't have the facts, or if we don't have answers to something, we're gonna suggest something. We're gonna make, you know, a suggestion. We're gonna, you know, make our own interpretation instead of say, you know what, let me sit still and let time deal with it, and let me not say anything whatsoever, and let time deal with it, and eventually the truth will come out. But it's not in our nature to actually sit back and not make any interpretation based on the situation when in face of doubt and not having the answer.
Right. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 12, to what Yah just alluded to as far as the fears.
Wisdom of Solomon.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17 and verse 12, page 68 in the Red Apocrypha. And it's funny you bring up that scenario, because I was on work travel during that same time period, and I remember the phones went down, and my rib couldn't get in touch with me. And the same things happened. It's like, oh man, I wonder if anything happened to him, because reason starts to fail you, right? So this is Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 12. It says, for fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth, right? So the succor is, it says the definition, assistance and support in times of hardship or distress.
Right.
So when you're going through hardship and distress, like in this situation where Tobias is taking a longer time than expected, now your reasoning starts to wither away. You don't rely on trust. You don't rely on the faith of the Most High or the trust of the Most High, like Tobit is doing.
Right.
But his wife is kind of like waning on it. So what happens? Fear sets in, and you start thinking the worst.
Right.
Right. And that just happens in our daily lives at times, where the circumstance itself overpowers your reasoning or your logic or your faith or your trust.
Right. And also things written aforetime, Romans 15 and 4. Right. Romans 15 and verse 4. Things written aforetime was written for our learning. As today, we so used to these things. For example, right now I'm in Philly, right? And we have people in New York, people in the down south, people in Atlanta, right? Watching in real time this service, right? In real time. And we are in two different, cities. Back then, we didn't have that. Think about a time when things start going down and we go into some situation like Nabia mentioned. Some of us will not know how to deal with it. It's gonna bring almost the same kind of anxiety not having, the communication, medium that we have today. Right? So we gotta think about it and think about this, what we're reading here. So when situation happen, and learn from it and know how to deal with it, and don't lose the faith, right? Because these situations will test your faith, will test your patience, will test your conviction in the Most High. So and it's gonna come in this time, in this modern day time, to test us, those who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So just to keep that in mind, right? Because things will happen. And you have people today doing what we call prep. You know, they doing preppers. They prepping for anything. If something were to happen, they have some food and something save up, right? Some sort of alternative communication. Some people are doing drills, right, to see if the system goes down, the infrastructure, little communication system falls down, then how are we gonna communicate? How many days can we survive not hearing each other and start thinking that the person is dead? You know, yeah. So these things are things that we should think about now, just in case if something happens, because these will play a very significant part in in our faith. All right. So reading on verse 8 now. Let me finish verse 7. It says, "Then Tobias said to Raguel, 'Let me go, for my father and my mother look no more to see me.'" Okay, so now they're gonna get ready to get on the road. Verse 8. "But his father-in-law said unto him, Tarry with me, and I will send to thy father, and they shall declare unto him how things go with thee." So Raguel was adamant for them to stay, but we're gonna see what happened, because the things were going so well, and when you're having a good time, sometimes you don't want it to last. But Tobias also had concern about his parents, because he's the one taking care of them. But Tobias said, "No, but let me go to my father." Then Raguel arose and gave him Sarah with his wife, and half his goods, servants, and cattle, and money. So Raguel relented and didn't hold him any longer. Instead, give him half of his wealth, and also servant and cattle, livestock, and money, right, to go with, right, to go on his new life. So as they were on the road, let's see what happened. Verse 11, chapter 11, verse 11.
Before you read that,
Mm-hmm.
if you think too about that, because I'm not sure you guys had those situations where if you're at a party or at a banquet and something's not right at home, you can get home to like fix something, or someone that you know is in need, then you're at this party, you kind of come with them, and it could be something or a situation, it doesn't necessarily be somebody, but you can't even enjoy yourself during the celebration because your mind or your heart is just on that.
Right.
And then the people are coming to you saying, "Hey, come on, let's go. We want to play a game. Like, come on," and you just
Yeah, you're not there. It's like you there and physically, but your mind you can't focus on the party, and you can imagine putting yourself in his shoes. I think a lot is going. It's like excitement, but there's a time to say, "Listen, yeah, enough party. I gotta go. I can't stay any longer," because, like you said, his mind is wondering about his people back home, because he got to take care of them, and they pretty much becoming of age, so he's kind of like they say, he's the light of our eyes, right? So he goes in and out for them, so you can imagine that situation there. But the Most High got everything covered.
and then just to and then at the same time be excited about the good news, like being comforted that the lady can comfort them, and to show, look at my wife Sarah, right?
Right.
Just to comfort, because then I wasn't concerned for them too.
Right.
Just to get back, just to show, look, everything's okay. Look, I'm married now. Your worries, about, they say, this time is going on, when are you going to get, parents always have that hope for their kids that they
Right.
find someone and all that kind of thing. So life can continue.
Yeah, it's a lot of mixed emotion going on here.
Yeah.
Mixed emotion, like excitement.
He wants to show them that. Yeah.
Right. It's like you can't wait to get home to see that everything that your father had told you is coming to pass. Right. At the same time, you concerned about them. It's like it's a lot going on in this situation.
That kind of think of Color Purple. I think her name was Suge Avery character. She went back home because she supposedly went the way of the devil, like it was like blues and stuff. And she went home. She said, "I was married now." I said I was married now. Remember trying to show me, just was still like,
right.
I'm still displeased with you, So it's like you just see that whole thing, like that need to comfort your parents and to get their approval to a certain extent when it comes to certain things,
Right. Also, since it's a short, chapter, we can always give comments. It's like when you really look at it, it's like being in the Most High, keeping the law, statutes, commandments. That doesn't mean, we can see it, even in the experience it ourselves, even today. That doesn't mean everything's gonna go smooth. Right? It's like a rocky road to make it, to the finish line. Right? It's like you run in a race. It's not always easy. The muscles, everything kind of like get numb after a while. You don't feel your legs anymore. Right? It's like kind of like the situation we're going through right now. We're in captivity. We have days, high days, and we have low days. We have days where everything seems going fine. The next thing you know, your daughter or your son or somebody call you and give you a bad news. Right? Kind of like it's like up and down until you make it. It's like you just gotta keep your eyes focused on the finish line, on the destination, in the midst of everything that's going on around you. It can be very challenging. So, and that's pretty much what we, learning here with Tobit, right? He's doing everything. He's in captivity, in long slavery, and he was doing good. He got a good job, working in the king's court, doing the good deed, burying Israelite, keeping the law. Then he got snitched on. Then, he had to go in hiding, and he was a wise man, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So everything's come with a package. It's a total package. And the package, the only thing at some point is having faith is the only thing that can keep you. Let's go to Matthew 21 and verse 21. And the Most High has it where you always have to go back to them. You can never have it all figured out. As it stated in Ecclesiastes. You always hide something in your mind that's not gonna, that keep you humble, right? Where you think you know it, but you don't know it. It's like you know it, you don't know it. You know it, you don't know it. Let me read that in Matthew 21 and verse 21. You got it.
Matthew chapter 21, verse 21. Yahushua answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if you have faith and doubt not, you shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done.
Right. So we are people who fight with faith. We have issues having faith, and that's why Yahushua had to, check us on it, because we lack faith. It's kind of like the same thing that's something that we struggle with as a nation, right? As the Israelite, we struggle with that. And it happened with the women where it says, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Right? This is one of the things, this is one of our, thing that we got to work on, right? It's that faith. And it's all throughout our generations as Israel, and we see it right here. And also you will find those who exercise it as well, right? Even though we struggle with it, that doesn't mean we don't have it. It's just that out of majority, we struggle with it. And the Most High has to put the situation here in Tobit that we're reading today and see how Tobit dealt with it, right? It shows that he had faith, right? And that's how we should be as his people, right? As a whole, right? So, and that's why it's written here, and we're reading it today, like we read in Romans 15 and 4. Things written aforetime was written for our learning as his people. Okay. Reading on in verse 11 again, or verse 10. Let me read verse 10 again. Then Raguel arose and gave him Sarah his wife and half his goods, servants, and cattle and money. Verse 11. And he blessed them and sent them away, saying, the God of heaven give you a prosperous journey, my children. So at this point right here, he let them go and blessed them and wished them well in a prosperous life. Verse 12.
I think you think of this verse, but when you talk about wishing someone, this is what they call wishing someone Godspeed, right?
Right.
Going through Godspeed, you say, okay, Godspeed, is that where you think, okay, let me move as fast as God?
Right.
But no, when he says Godspeed, it means to do exactly what he said, to wish someone a prosperous journey.
Right.
But there's a scripture that in one of the Johns, I'm gonna get it now, where they say when it comes to people that come to visit, you that you don't, or there's a certain circumstance to where you wish Godspeed unto you, right?
Right.
But this is 2 John 21 chapter.
2 John,
I'm just read verse 10 and 11 real quick.
verse 10 and 11.
To go with Tobit chapter 10 and verse 11. Just as a reminder for today. This kind of goes into, I think, a little bit what we were talking about last night as far as really be your brother and or sister's keeper. You want to make sure that even though it hurts their feelings, you don't condone any bad behavior, right?
Right.
You don't want to wish them, good success with knowing that what their deeds are doing going to cause them harm in the end. That would be being your brother's keeper. Whereas what you see in today's time a lot of times, especially in the West, is to keep a little things, to not mention things, out of fear of breaking someone's heart. Scriptures make it very clear as far as open rebuke being better than secret love.
Mm-hmm.
Because you care about their soul salvation, but they think that you're just being, nitpicky or, they might try to do some ad hominem and say, well, you're not perfect in this, but you do this wrong. It's like, whether that's true or not, is what I said true. You need to take heed to what I'm saying, regardless of whatever issue like that.
Right.
So this is 2 John.
2 John 10 and 11. It's one chapter.
2 John verse 10, it says, there come any unto you, and bring not this doctrine, as far as the truth, as it's written. It says, receive him not into your house, not a bid him Godspeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we saw with Raguel, he's doing it actually here, where he's wishing him a prosperous journey. That, like we say in the scriptures, that it go well with you.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 11, for he that biddeth him Godspeed is partaker of his evil deeds. So we usually bring this verse out to say, like, if you have like Job's witnesses come by and knock on your door and talk to you about the truth, you can't really wish them a prosperous journey if you talk with them, especially if you tell them the truth and they don't want to receive it. You say, I don't know, we have the truth, at least in my experience dealing with them a lot of times. They seem like it can be lifted up, you can be very proud, they're the ones who know.
Right.
Right. So you couldn't wish them Godspeed if they don't receive the message you're trying to bring to them.
Right.
If they come to visit you. So, okay, we'll be Joe's witnesses. Check it out. How a witness unto me, as far as who we are as a people, can you receive? And start telling them the truth.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Verse 12 now. And he said to his daughter, honor thy father and thy mother-in-law, which are now thy parents, that I may hear good report of thee. And he kissed her. Edna also said to Tobias, the Lord of heaven restore thee, my dear brother, and grant that I may see thy children of my daughter Sarah before I die, that I may rejoice before the Lord. Behold, I commit my daughter unto thee of special trust. Wherefore, do not entreat her evil. So Raguel said his piece to Tobias, and the mother also said her piece to Tobias, right, and given her Edna. I'm sorry, and given her Sarah. So you kind of see the exchange here, and how it's done. You know, it's passed down the good behavior from the parents of Sarah, same behavior, righteous behavior, or good moral behavior that Tobit also had. It's exactly what Tobit wishes for his son, exactly what he wishes, and that's exactly what he got. So you can see at the end, even in the locomotion, in the confusion and everything that's going on, the Mosai is in between, you know, fixing the puzzle, because like a puzzle is all layout and all over the place, and you can't make sense of it. All you got to do is keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and the Mosai in between will make sure that the puzzle come together, right? Even in the midst of chaos and confusion, even at time when you have no way out, you don't see how you're gonna put this piece together. It's the Mosai work, and the Mosai have it so that you don't figure it out. At the end, you will realize the work that you were doing, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, it helps, but Mosai doesn't want you to focus fully on that, where you say, you know, it's my righteousness that's actually making this happen, right? Even though, yes, it's your righteousness, it's both. You got to have faith in the Most High, knowing that he's the creator, he's in control of all things. It's not just you that's doing it because of your righteousness. That's why you got to know Christ, right? You got to know Christ. Let me read the scripture real quick. And let's go to Hebrews real quick. Is it Hebrews that I want right here? Galatians. Galatians 5:2. Galatians 5:2. And I'm gonna read this, and this is that's why in that scripture I'm gonna read here. If you don't understand what is being said here, that's why Paul's scripture is a bit you know, tough for those unlearned, right? Galatians 5:2. It says, "Behold, I Paul said unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing." Right? If you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. What is it saying here? You could be keeping the law all you want, right? You circumcise physically, and you boast in that physical sacrifice, which is right. But if you don't have Christ, right? If you don't have Christ, that physical sacrifice of circumcision is nothing. Just like the Pharisees, they boast in this physical sacrifice, which is in the law, but they did not have Christ. So you got to have both. You got to have the physical sacrifice, circumcision, and the understanding of the faith in Christ, Yahushua, Mashiach. Right? So now if you read this right here, you're gonna think that Paul is saying that circumcision is not good. If you circumcise, you finish. But what it's saying here, if you boast in your circumcision of the flesh without the understanding of Christ, and you boast on that only, then you don't get it. So you got to have both. So in light of this scripture right here, Tobit never boasts in his understanding in keeping the law, statute, and commandment. Even in enemy's territory, he was doing good in keeping the law, but he didn't boast in that. He still have Christ in him, right? Even then, at that time. So he had the understanding of keeping the law and the faith of having Christ in his life, because it's both. What Christ brings us not being in yoke of doing the sacrifice that we used to do with the killing of the animals for our sin. That's why we keep the law, all the law, moral law, moral law, the dietary law, right? We keep the ceremonial law, which is one of it today that we're doing in the Sabbath day, right? So we do all these things, but with the understanding of Christ, because when you come to the service here, we don't do any sacrifice, but we honor Christ, who is our ultimate sacrifice. So that's the understanding, right, on keeping the law, right? So Tobit was a good example of that. Even some things he did not understand fully. I'll read on verse 12 again. And he said to his daughter, honor thy father and thy mother-in-law, which are not thy parents, that I may hear good report of thee. And he kissed her. Edna also said to Tobias, the Lord of heaven restore thee, my dear brother, and grant that I may see thy children of my daughter Sarah before I die. So that's a wish that she had, and as we read the chapter, you're gonna find out if that wish, that what she wished, can come to pass. Right. So this is a very great story that are full of suspense. And I mean, right now we see it, we understand it, but at that time, to them, a lot of suspense, faith, a lot of heartache, everything combined together. When you summarize it, it's a walk of faith.
Yeah, it's funny. You see that spirit here, where usually after a wedding or a ceremony, the mother always comes up and says, "You guys go make me some grandbabies now. I need some grandbabies."
Right.
That's what that is saying. I want to see, before I die, I want to see thy children of my daughter. I want to see my little grandbabies, and I can go on to the Father. So that's kind of that same vibe here with Edna, and now allowing her daughter Sarah go on with Tobias. But what's interesting, because we were talking a little bit, when you go back to 8 and 21, 8 chapter, the 21st verse. Actually, I'm gonna start at 20. It says, Tobit 8 and 20, for before the days of the marriage were finished, Raguel had said unto him by an oath that he should not depart till the 14 days of the marriage were expired, which we just read about, right? It says, and then he should take the half of his goods and go in safety to his father, and should have the rest when I and my wife be dead, right? Because now when you look at it, Sarah, as their only child here, she now would gain everything. But now Sarah is going to be married off to Tobias. Technically, according to the law, they're joined as being one.
Right.
So now he also would have right to their inheritance. But now we understand the storyline. When we read in the first chapter, Tobit was from the tribe of what? Naphtali.
Mm-hmm.
They also of the tribe of Naphtali.
Right.
So now when it comes to their inheritance and the properties and things that he would have, if he had any,
right,
it would not switch from tribe to tribe according to the law, because this is something that happened way back before time, that the Most High put in place so that we now would be able to keep and settle with inheritances, and it would not transfer. I'm going to read this in the book of Numbers, the 36th chapter. Numbers 36. The whole chapter is good, but I'm going to jump down to verse 6. Actually, I'm going to read the whole thing.
Numbers 36.
So I'm going to start from 1. I'm going to read through it. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to try to stop at everything. But this is Numbers chapter 36 and verse 1. This is what you call, it's a perfect system, perfect law, maintains order from thence even till now.
Right.
To have, if you have the clear understanding, right? So this is Numbers 36 and 1. And the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spake before Moses and before the princes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel, right? So now this is dealing specifically with the tribe of Manasseh, who today we look at as the so-called Cubans, right? It says, and they said, the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land for an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel. And my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of Zelophehad, our brother, unto his daughters, right? Because he only had daughters, he had no sons. So now his inheritance would have to transfer to his daughters. It says in verse 3, and if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, right? Which is lawful to say, hey, you can go marry a Levite, a Judite, a Benjamite, an Issacharite, whatever. That's lawful within the law. But they understood that and said, but if this thing right here happens, something else happens. So I'm going to read it again, verse 3. And if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and shall be put to the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received.
Right.
So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance.
Right.
And when the jubilee of the children of Israel shall be, then shall their inheritance be put unto the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. Because at the time of year jubilee, everything's supposed to be exacted then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shall their inheritance be taken away from the inheritance of the tribes of our fathers. So they recognize that this would cause an issue, would cause confusion. Because when you look at the map and you see the lots that are now designated for each tribe, if you have this situation or circumstance, like I would have, where it's like, yeah, you only have daughters and you don't have sons to now raise up seed to now keep that line, keep that father's name. Once a man now has only daughters and he now marries his daughter off, now she takes his name, she goes with him, and the children are of his lineage. So now they would now inherit that land, but they could be from a whole other tribe.
Right.
Now, how can they come in and now set up a whole landmark being from another tribe? It will cause confusion, and they knew this.
Right. It's a
different family of the same tribe.
Oh, a different family, kind.
it's orderly in terms of resource distribution and allocation, right? So make sure everything is balanced out, where what you have is what you have, and then it stays within that.
Right.
Because everything being well allocated is gonna keep the tribes and the families not one it's not gonna keep it unbalanced. Right, so not taking here and put there, and make sure everything is properly distributed.
Right, and also keep in mind the Most High said the earth and the fullness is His.
Right,
right. He's the one that allowed and designated these lands to be where it is.
Right.
We can't go out there and sell off and just start trading off the land because it wasn't ours to begin with. It was the Most High's, and He gave it to us as an inheritance. Right. So it says here in verse 5. And Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph have said well. This is the thing which the Lord doth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry to whom they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe.
Right.
For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers.
Right. So the inheritance should be staying within the tribes. It's not bouncing here, take resources, go here, takes everything got to remain as is.
Exactly. So when we look in Tobit, when Tobias and Azarias, which is really the angel Raphael, first come and see Raguel and Edna, he was like, oh, this is my cousin, right? I know him. And then he started asking about Tobit, right? So they are of the same kindred.
Right.
So now this fits in line so that now he's trying to find a husband for his daughter.
Right.
Now here's one that's of my kindred that fits in his realm, being that he only has a daughter. So it says in verse 8, And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his fathers. Right? So it wasn't now specifically just for Manasseh, right? It wasn't just for that time. It now moved on to every daughter. Anytime a daughter has, or a circumstance comes up where this happens with the daughter, now this same thing happens. Now she is confined to only finding a husband within her tribe that's within her kindred. Mm-hmm. She can't go out and look to someone else, right? Now, you know, you be like, somebody be like, that's messed up. But it's more than just your personal feelings in this.
Right.
There's a whole order to the tribe, to the nation, to keep everything aligned to how the Most High ordered it. So it says in verse 9, and we can end, it says, neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. Right? And that's key. Now, what's interesting, I started watching that movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, with Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro. And in the movie, what they was doing, they knew that Gad and them had mad land that had oil on it. Right. But they just couldn't come and just take the land for themselves. They didn't want to do it forcefully, try to do it orderly. The best way that Esau was doing it back then was marrying into the tribes, right? So they would go and get these women who now had the rights or the possession of the land, and they would marry them. That's what you see when that's what Leonardo DiCaprio's character was groomed to go and marrying one of these Gadite women. The grandmother that you see in the movie, if you ever watch it, she was against it. And she was upset that her daughters and her kindred was marrying these men. And what happened after the fact, Esau started giving them diseases and start killing them off quickly so they can get the land and the property and the paperwork and start building and making mad money off of them, right? And what made me watch it, because I seen a clip where on social media, it was the opening, whatever you call a guy who opens up on those award shows or whatever, like he kind of like sets the tone, opens up a show. When he was going around the room and he got to Robert De Niro, and then he was like, Dag, and he started talking about the movie. He's like, man, the white man is a killer. He's a thief. Right. I was like, Dag, because this guy wasn't Esau. He was of another nation. But he just.
Yeah, that's I think he's Jack. I think it was Filipino.
Something like that, yeah. Something like that, yeah. But he just started going in on. He was like, the white man, the white man he got to take everything, and he kills to take it. I was sitting up there like, damn, this guy's saying this on a grand stage like that. Right. And that's what made me want to see it, because he was so forceful with saying it. I was like, let me check out what caused him to say this about Esau that way in a room like that. And then sure enough, in there, they just, not only they just giving them diseases, but in certain cases, they just killing them, like taking a gun and blowing their heads off. Right. And you like, damn, just to get the land, that's what they was do. But the inheritance, they knew it was still tied to certain people, and the daughters were the ones that they found the way in to go marry them. Right. Now, once they married them and they died off, they now have right to their land, right? Well, according to the law, we shouldn't even be dealing with them like that. But even within the tribes, the Most High has an order to make sure that the land doesn't move from tribe to cause confusion. Right. Nowadays, we don't have our land, we don't have our inheritance over in Israel right now. We got to get that back, right? When the Most High puts us back in the land, like Isaiah 14, 1 and 2, he's going to bring us back, and then we will reclaim what's ours and we rebuild, and then these things definitely would take into effect. But it still would be good to rehearse it to understand how these things now practice and what we're dealing with right now, because there's certain cases where you might be in the same thing. You buy land, you got property, going down Atlanta, you're going out down south over here, you buy land and property, you own it, and all of a sudden, the same thing happens. And you don't understand that they know this, right? And I've seen a lot of things where they realize the transference of inheritance and how they take advantage of our people because we ignorant. And we don't know their laws, let alone the Most High's laws, and how to maneuver. Right.
And then, like we just read, it's all lawful, right? And people boxing the Bible as if it's just one-sided and it's all about moral code. It's everything is in the scriptures as far as how a nation's supposed to operate. and I mean how our nation's supposed to operate. Right? It's like this is laws regarding asset and regarding property, transfer of property. So everything has to be within the boundaries of the law. Right? So that's pretty much what is set here. And that's what they were doing, even though they, Tobit and Raguel, they try to rehearse the righteous act. Even they were in enemy's territory, they try to rehearse the righteous act. It shows you wherever you are, we can try to rehearse the right. It may not be exactly because we're not in our own land, but it's not an excuse to not exemplify it if you can do it, just to rehearse it. And that's pretty much what all that is pretty much examples of the law in action. And even to people who said, after when they give Paul a different law contrary to what we had, it's pretty much nonsense, right? Because Paul's foundation in himself is the law to begin with, right?
And I know you guys went into already in Sabbath. We get into Joshua. I know this topic was pretty much tied to everything.
Right.
Right? Even the kingdom going forward as far as how we're going to govern things. But you can't really talk about the laws of God without talking about inheritance, be it physical or spiritual. It's tied into everything that we do, everything that motivates us to go forward. And you said for our people, yes, but then eventually the other nations as well, right? And I'm just referencing it, but when we read Deuteronomy 32, 8-9, right, we even see that to where what we do as an example between our tribes and when it comes to inheritance, it's supposed to be a reflection of what these nations that surround us are going to do and are supposed to do in the kingdom. It talks about how the Most High divides the nations their inheritance, right? When he separated the sons of Adam, to where, according to our law, it would be something like what we saw during David and Solomon's time, but just take over that next level. To where you have us in the middle with our tribes, and then we'll have the other nations around us paying tribute, but then we'll tell them, okay, here's how to deal in your land. Here's how to deal with your inheritance between your people. Right. Just make sure that 10% goes to Levi, that 10% goes to the king. Make sure you pay your tribute. How we do that, right? Right. I just want to read this example to go along with Numbers 36, going back to that time of Joshua. But this is Judges chapter 1. I'll read 9 down to 15. Because you have a similar scenario here where Caleb had a daughter, but then just circumstance kind of had it to where she would be able to inherit the inheritance of her father, basically who she would take as a husband. So Judges chapter 1 and verse 9, it reads, and afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain, and in the south and in the valley. 10. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kirjath Arba. So you read in other previous chapters. Before we called it Hebron. Remember that was the capital down in the southern kingdom for a little while before it became Jerusalem during the time of David, right? We read about him ruling, was it 7.5 years in Hebron. Mm-hmm. But before that, it was called Kirjath Arba, or the city of Arba, because Arba was like a mighty man amongst the Hamites, right? That we fought against and we took them out during this time when Joshua and Caleb were around. It says, and they slew Shishai and Ahiman and Talmai. 11. And from thence he went against the inhabitants of Eber. And the name of Eber before was Kirjath Sepher. So showing you that the Canaanites had these cities, had their own names on them, and we took them over and renamed them, right? We did other cities. All done with inheritance, right? Mm-hmm. It says in 12, and Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath Sepher and taketh it, to him will I give Aksha, my daughter, to wife. It says, and Onithiel, for Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Aksha, his daughter, to wife. This happened by circumstance. This Othniel, who we read, I think, going forward, he'll become like the next judge after Joshua, right? It says that he was the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. So similar to that dynamic in number 36, where that was Caleb's nephew, right? On his, on his father's side, right? To where now his daughter Aksha would be able to maintain her father's inheritance. We know Joshua and Caleb, they got the lion's share of the inheritance for their respective tribes. You go and tell them we took over and conquered Canaan. Mm-hmm. So now she gets to keep it, given her husband. 14, it came to pass when she came to him that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted from off her ass, and Caleb said unto him, what wilt thou? Right? So this is a case of riding one day, on their donkeys and whatnot. She gets off and goes to him, and he asks her, what wilt thou? And it says in verse 15, and she said unto him, give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a southland. Give me also springs of water. It says, and Caleb gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. Right? So he was able to do that, and it wouldn't have been a problem, because she married into her family's, or her particular family in Judah's tribe. So then now she can inherit those things, and he won't have any issue giving it to her, right? Because Othniel is his kin. It's just another example where it's not really said directly, but you kind of, read between the lines and know the law. You can see that and go, oh, all right, they're kind of they end up working out this way based on that law in Numbers 36.
Con. So that you read from 9 to
15.
9 to 15. All right, so let's read Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5.
And I made a reference to Deuteronomy 32, 8, 9.
Okay.
Just read this last time.
So Deuteronomy 4 and 5 reads, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Right? In verse 6, it says, keep therefore. So now we are instructed to keep the laws of the Most High and the commandments of the Most High wherever we may go and possess it. So this is that was back then, and this is now, right? Because wherever we go, this is in the present where we are now as a people, right? Wherever we go to possess it. Now we in America, wherever we are, you in the Caribbean island. If you happen to sit there, you in Latin America. You happen to sit there in the Northern Tribe. Wherever we may be, right now in this day, we supposed to exemplify, or we just the righteous act. Verse 15, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear of all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Now, if we were to keep the law and do everything orderly, we would be looked on as what is said here. So if we were to keep the law, but since we don't keep the law, we see what's happening to us out there or wherever we may be in throughout the four corners of the earth. Verse 7, for what nation is there so great who have God so nigh unto them as the Lord or our power or God is in all things that we call upon him for? So that's pretty much the impression that people will get once they see that we keep the law and everything is working for us. Unfortunately, we don't have it going on right now, but that's what we hear, keeping the Sabbath day and go into the scriptures, right, and bring out the sense, bring out the understanding for those of us who are here today hearing this message. All right, so that was Deuteronomy chapter 4, 5, and I'll read verse 8. In what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgment so righteous as all this law, which I said before you this day? Matthew, okay, this day. So you said read all the way to 9, right? Con. All right, so the keeping the law, statute, and commandments is the key, and we have to keep the law. And now, let me read in the New Testament, since people of our nation bought into the idea that Paul bring a new understanding when it comes to the law. We don't have to keep the law no more. So let's read in the New Testament, because some of them, they keep Paul and using Paul as the scapegoat. So let's see what Paul is about, what he was talking about as far as the law, what he taught, right? His foundation. Let's go into the foundation of Paul and see if Paul was teaching something contrary to what people out there are saying.
We get that. What you read, verse 9, which is what you already quoted.
Go ahead. Deuteronomy 4 and 9. Go ahead. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 9. And it reads, "Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen." Right? Take heed to thyself, meaning watch yourself, watch your action, and know thyself, right? And keep thy soul diligently. So how you keep your soul diligently? Keeping the law, statute, commandments. And what is your soul? Right? If you have your mind, your willingness, and your emotion, what is it that keeps you going? Right? What's gonna get you? What Esau can do or the other nation can present to you that will get you going, right? So that's how you keep your soul. When you know what the law says, you'll say, no, I'm not going to do this because it's not in the law. That's how you get to keep your soul, right? What will take over your mind, right? If you get into riches and things that is offered to you by the world, and that got your mind going crazy, and you start doing things contrary to the law, your mind is gone. And if you have the willpower, right, to do wrong things, you lose your soul, right? So these things, when we hear keeping, losing your soul, we got to get into the understanding what is losing your soul mean. It's your mind, your will, your emotion. Those things are things that get you to lose your soul, right? Lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, right? Once you lose your soul, you forget about the law. You don't want to do the law no more because the law is nothing to you, right? Because now your mind is taken by something else. Your emotion is preoccupied by something else, right? Your willpower is preoccupied by something else. So you forget the law. And lest they depart from thine heart or from thy mind all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. So pass it down from generation to generation, just like Tobit did. Pass the instruction down to Tobias as Tobias was about to take the lead role to become a father now, and then he's gonna have sons. He's gonna pass it down to his siblings, and it become a chain reaction. But when we forget our heritage, like the Most High said, "If thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee," then the heritage that the Most High give us, like we're reading here, we don't pass it down. We pass down another heritage that we inherit from the other nations. Now we follow the other nations, and everything that we teach our children and our children's children has been a chain reaction from the other nations. So the law of the Most High is not, is not primary in our generation these days, and that's why we're in the condition that we're in now in captivity. Right. So, let's go to one second. What is the foundation of what our brother that they use in the world was teaching, Paul? Second. All right, so let's go to all right, let's go to Acts, the second chapter. I'm sorry, Acts 21 and 18. Let's go to Acts 21 and 18. It's showing that even Paul's foundation was the law. In Acts 21 and 18, you read, "In a day following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present." Verse 19. "And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what thing God had wrought amongst the Gentile by his ministry." Remember, Paul was a ministry to the Israelite in the Gentile state of mind, right? Who were keeping the custom of the heathen. That's why it says the Gentile by his ministry. 20. "And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, Thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law." Right? So all these people that's following him that was zealous of the law were Jews, right? They were Israelite in Gentile state of mind. And that gospel that he was teaching was the gospel that was all the way back then teaching from Moses' law all the way to when he started teaching. And reading along in verse 21, Acts 21 and 21, "And they are informed of thee that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs." Verse 22, "What is it therefore? The multitude must need come together, for they will hear that thou art come." Verse 23, "Do therefore this that we say, do therefore this what we say to thee. We have 4 men which have a vow of them." So keep in mind, right here, they told Paul, there's a lying going on about you telling the people to forsake Moses' law. So you got to prove to them that's not true, right? So that we can quell that lie. It says in verse 24, "Then take and purify thyself with them, and be at charges with them, that they may shave their heads." And what they doing right here, they keeping the Nazarite vow, which is all the way in the Old Testament. Okay, so they're gonna purify themselves according to the law that they said, the law of Moses, which is the law of the law of the Most High, given to Moses for the children of Israel. So usually when people say this is the law of Moses, you got to be careful with that, because once they put it on Moses, they take the Most High out of the picture, right? They said the law of Moses, like Moses is the one that gives the law. No, Moses gave the law from the Most High. All right, and it says those things. Verse continuing, it says, "Were informed concerning thee are nothing, but that thou thyself also walkest orderly and keepeth the law. Here we go. That's the foundation of Paul. Paul kept the law and advocate of the law. The only thing that Paul wanted to say is when he was talking, well, as the scriptures that I read earlier, you have to have the law and Yahushua. The only law that Paul talked about that we don't keep these days is the sacrificial law for sin, which Yahushua is pretty much cover for that. But still, we have to abide by all the other laws that are found in the scriptures. All right. So I know we went on a tangent on this, but this is just to show that just like Tobit kept the law, all the Israelites always keep the law. And if you're gonna talk about the Most High and the Israelite, you cannot get away from keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and that's the only way. All right. So as housekeeping rules, let's do that real fast. We have our class days, which takes place every Friday, every Tuesdays and Friday. And we have the conference line number scrolling here at the bottom with the code that you need to log in. If you don't have a smartphone, you still can get on the class by dialing this number, 667-770-1085. Conference code is 521455. Also, if you happen to have a smartphone, you want to participate in a Zoom class where you can see everybody and ask questions. Visually, you can have a visual, face-to-face, virtual. You can go to profitabletalks.com and you'll be able to participate. And if you happen to have a friend that's in the Philadelphia area that want to come to the class physically into the service, we have the address here, which is 3826B, Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia, PA, 19140. And if you want to give your donations, you can send your donations payable here at Hayashwala Kanas, right? Also, if you want to donate via PayPal, you can go to paypal.me/HYK12. Or if you have Cash App, $ Hakanas, that's where you're going to be able to send your donation or free will offering so we can keep this house of the Most High going in the teaching and the paraphernalias that we use to get the word out. All right, so Khan, if you like and share this video so we can get some feed in the algorithm so that the word can go out, just like you come to know the truth, and brothers and sisters out there also seeking to know the truth, you can share that video that we just off the service. Khan Samat?
Kun, if Elder Zaquan is online and listening, if you can post the in the chat the address for where the Passover is going to be held this year. So just for those who are unaware and you are not in the class this evening, Passover is going to be April 21st. That's a Sunday night, April 21st, Sunday night. It's going to be held at a nice location in Philly. Hopefully Elder Zaquan is listening, he can post the location. I think it was 4809 Germantown Avenue.
4809 Germantown Avenue.
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to bring out as far as for the Passover and people coming in from different locations. They're traveling in. This is not like a normal banquet where you're coming from Florida, Atlanta, Texas, wherever, New York, and you're bringing other family members. This is not that type of a gathering. It's not that type of a convocation. If someone's coming to the Passover or a high holy day, they need to be in the right spirit. We went through discussions in the class last night as far as for people just even coming into the school, got to be physically dressed the proper way, but also mentally prepared to do. If you come into the Passover, you have to be both physically and mentally on point with what the Most High and Yahushua will is as it pertains to the law. I'm going to read this in 1 Corinthians chapter 11.
Right. Don't think you're going to come in and come eat lamb. And that's about
people
it.
just coming just to yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11. I'm going to read from verse 24 down to 29. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24 down to 29, it says,
we saw that.
and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Verse 27 is the key. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of Yahweh or Yahushua. It says, verse 28, but let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. Right? So what this is going into is that when even us that's in this truth, even us that's still now learning and trying to get ourselves on the right path, like it tells us in 1 Corinthians 13 and 5, that we're supposed to be examining ourselves daily so that we can confirm that we're in the spirit. We're on par with what the Most High and Yahushua requires for us so that we don't attend their gathering unworthily. So you wouldn't want to bring in somebody who has limited knowledge. They don't know. They believe that we're Israelites, but they don't keep the Sabbath day. They can eat pork. They can do this, right? They're not fully in tune with the spirit. Then they come into a gathering like that and start causing confusion because they're not equally yoked. So this is not one of those occasions where you're bringing other family members or friends who this is the first time or the second time they're learning this. Don't do that, right? If you're considerate, they should be in the classes right now, joining a Tuesday or Friday class to understand what we're about, understand what the scriptures is about, understand what the day is about, right? So make sure for those who are traveling and you're coming with and mainly, I mean, if you have like small kids, that's understandable. But if you got like, adults, young adults who really not wanting to be there, who not in tune, their mind is on something else. They want to be, at the club or watching the ball game, and this is just taking up. Leave them home. Don't bring them to this type of an affair or gathering because we want to make sure everything is done decently and in order, meaning our spirits are all like-minded and in tune with what's going on. So for the upcoming weeks, for those who are going to be dialing to the classes, we're going to start preparing our minds and our physical houses, because if this is your first time, you should be beginning to start weighing yourself for purchasing a lot of leaven things. I'm going to read this in Exodus 12th chapter. For those who are new, who just joined within the last year, Exodus the 12th chapter. Like I said, we're going to go through these more in tune during the classes, but I wanted to read this Exodus chapter 12. I'm just going to read one verse, verse 15. Exodus 12 and 15. It says, 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread, right? So for the period of 7 days, you can consume nothing that has leaven, yeast in it, right? Any products that allows your cakes, your doughs, your cookies, whatever to rise, that you cannot eat for 7 days. You're supposed to eat unleavened food during that period of time, every day for 7 days. Even the first day, ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. So now, normally you would get it out, and certain things may be perishable. So you may not want to go and spend a lot of money a week before the unleavened bread starts, and you got to toss or throw that food out, right? Start preparing your house now to start weaning those things out. And as you come to the class, you'll learn that it has a spiritual connotation to it as well. It says, for whosoever eateth unleavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So if you're in a house where you're not that's not your apartment, not your house, and you share a house, you with your parents, you with your siblings, or you with a family member who's not in this truth, then you got to start working out certain things with your family members of what you're going to be doing, right? So that they don't come to you and with foods that you know that you can't eat if you don't have full control over the house, right? So you got to be wise and smart on how to separate certain things specifically for you from everyone else. And again, during the classes, we'll kind of go through certain examples and guidance on how to do that. We'll also put out, as we do yearly, the unleavened bread, the Passover menu of things that you can eat and things that you can't eat, right? That you have to remove from your diet during that period of time. So again, just pointing out that the Passover is coming up April 21st sundown. We're going to be keeping it with another camp, one of our brothers. We're doing for a while. So it's going to be a nice occasion to see other brothers and sisters like-minded in the spirit and to be able to congregate and fellowship on the Lord's day. All right. So if you have questions, make sure you write them down. If you have concerns, bring them to the classes. Or if it's imminent or if it's something urgent, definitely you have our numbers. You can reach out, text, call, and we can try to handle it during that time as well.
Another thing, when you read the scriptures that stick out, where it says, examine yourself daily, right? Going forward, what I think you should be thinking of is that scripture right here is Job 23 and verse 12. Right, Job 23 in verse 12. Imagine yourself going without food or deprived from food. So if we think of the word as it is as food, we would not want to go without food any days, right? And indeed, it is food for the spirit, food for thought, right? But oftentimes the practice of not thinking of it that way, sometimes we may, become spiritually malnourished by not examining ourselves. And when we examine ourselves daily with the scriptures, we make sure that we get our spiritual nutrient, right, daily without fail. So let me read that scripture real quick. It says, neither have I gone back from the commandments of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. Right? So if we make sure that every day we munch on something, we eat something just to keep the physical body going, why not the spiritual body, which is matter, which is above the physical body? So examine ourselves daily will assure that we get our doses of spiritual nutrient in daily. All right, just wanted to point that out. It was 12 to 15. It's chapter 12 and 15. So with that, we're going to say Shalom and having a blessed Sabbath. Thank you for those who were online. Ema and Edwin, Batazion, Aurora, Raven, Andrea Watson, Ema and Edwin, Shivers, Juanita Rentas, and listen with your mind, the righteous king. Again, Shalom, Awab. All right, and if I miss anybody, at the bottom, Amaziah. All right, so keep coming and also share the good news. Invite others to come to the class. Eventually, come to the Sabbath service to participate in the good news. All right, so with that, say stay tuned for the closing prayer. Barak Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Asherah, Latanawa Pa Yagapan Tuara Amon, La Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Yasha Allah. English translation: Bless our Yahweh in the name of Yahushua that gives to us the fruit of the vine. To Yahweh in the name of Yahushua with Israel. Bad weapon, you are you watching them? Say the fish Jerusalem. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Babukushai, Shammai, Lanawa, Aitha, Yamyun, Aitha, Shalat, Maika Allah, Watazawadak. Hold on. Walahayim, Atazawadak, Shabon Ayah, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Wakaziyak, Bunya, Yasharala, Washalat, Anawa, Rabiam, Takama, Rabiam, Da'if, Rabiam, Bayana, Rabiam, Sabalanwa, Rabiam, Amawan, Rabiam, Aqua, Rabiam, Ahabiam, Rabiam, Agana, Wakhanaya, Wasalat, Ko, Kata Yimna, La Akim, Wayasha Allah, Tamyat, Wayulam, Basham, Yahushai, the water, Amen. 4 corners prayer. Yahweh. English translation. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please listen to us now. Right now, send Michael and the righteous powers and angels to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive us all our sins for the brothers and sisters in Israel,
always and forever. In the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it. For on the spread. Yahweh. Bahasham. Yahushua. Barak Nawa. Oyasha Allah. Ubafi Sapario. Shema. Yashirallah. Yahweh. Allah Hainawa. Yahweh. Achad. All right. Have a blessed rest of Sabbath day. Peace and see you in class. Shalom.